McAvoy delayed the hand pass until Day in full stride. And isn't he excited by it? Morris, a couple of nice things today. Chipped it forward, asked a lot of a man running back with a fly towards goal. McDonald, yes! Racks up another for the Hawks. Dave flings the handball out. Luke Bruce, another shot. Cheered home by the Hawks fans. Ward again to the square. Genuine one-on-one. Duggan got a touch to McDonald! With a nice strike. Honored his memory very well today, the Hawks. The 1991 Norm Smith medalist. Luke Bruce leads the Hawks home.
The Hawks made it back-to-back wins, besting the Eagles in what was, frankly, a fairly average game. But that's okay, because there's still much to celebrate, namely Josh Ward's breakout performance, another great midfield showing from Dylan Moore, and a big bag of 6 from Luke Bruce. We'll get to all that, as well as the latest Box Hill heist out at City Oval, and so much more. Welcome to another edition of the Hawk Talk podcast. My name is Nick Mason, and it wasn't the most pretty display of football, but there's a bit to like about Hawthorn right now.
Well, yeah, the young brigade are coming through. One of the legends is just taking his opposition number to task. And then Box Hill were scintillating.
You know what I liked about this win over West Coast? It felt like both age profiles held up their end of the bargain. Yeah, we did have some youth standing up and doing some really good, exciting things. And then, as you say, a good old-fashioned education from Luke Bruce to his opponent.
Well, look, big boy Ben McAvoy only needs to turn up and we win.
It certainly seems that way. Well, I'm telling you, I did say we look better with 2 rucks, and that was the plan. I certainly haven't been proven wrong yet.
Well, you see, it was the weather's fault that Cozzy was dropped. And as a result of him being dropped, Mitch Lewis had 2 or 3 tags.
Yeah, I was waiting for this. Yeah, I mean, it was bound to happen sooner or later,
Didn't
right?
look likely, and he was embarrassed. That's a play on
I know,
Barras.
I got it, thank you. Yeah, he was best on ground.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, he was. I mean, the coaches thought so.
Yeah, well, he was very good.
But, you know, I was looking at the coaches' votes, mate. I was looking at it on Monday afternoon, and I thought, I wonder who they went with. And not just our game, the league-wide, because I was interested. Who is going to pinch the Rising Star nomination off Josh Ward? There's nobody. Surely nobody could, because Ward got votes. And I was looking through, I went, nah, it's his. I'm just counting down to the announcement. And sure enough, your Rising Star nominee for round 18 with 34 touches, 5 inside 50s, 6 clearances, 8 score involvements, and a game-high 618 metres gained, Josh Ward.
He looked like an old man.
In that he was just comfortable out there, experienced?
Well, I mean, the first couple of touches weren't, he was still feeling his way into the game. But after that, it just, everywhere he went, he got the pill.
Looked cool, composed. He's introduced that into his game over the last couple of weeks, which I really like. He's not as nervy, I feel, as he used to be.
He takes good options, which I really love.
That's
and
what I'm
they're
talking
not
about.
always, kick it long. He's got good eyesight. Not necessarily all kicks, some handballs. It's a good mix.
A true breakout game. I feel like we knew it was coming. It might have happened sooner if not for that stint on the sidelines.
Yeah, the concussion really stifled his season, but we've got one here.
Well done, Josh. Stellar performance. I look forward to seeing him, well, frankly, for the rest of the season. There's no point putting him back in Box Hill. And that goes for a few of these guys. One guy that we do want to concentrate on, though, who's become an absolute superstar, awarded the Paul Deere Memorial Medal on the day, recognised as the most courageous player out there. It is, of course, Dylan Moore.
Another great week. He's getting consistent now.
He really is. He is emerging as, well, one of the true stars of the comp. If you go by AFL player ratings, his improvements in this season alone, it's propelled him into the stratosphere.
He's the most improved across the league.
That's it. And no one's talking about it, Tiz. Have you noticed? No one in the footy media wants to chat about Dylan Moore.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, he really did the number 13 proud on such an important day as well. A pocket rocket who we love having forward, obviously, but he's proving to be every bit as damaging as a midfielder.
Yeah, it's not just the touches he gets, but the pressure he creates around the ball. He also takes good options, but he can also accelerate around away from the pack. Midfielder Dylan Moore is not something I thought I'd ever hear, but it's looking more and more a reality. I remember when we drafted him to the club, we were thinking, oh, wingman.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, run all day.
Run all day.
Endurance machine.
And then we brought in Scully, and he nearly got delisted.
That's right, yeah. I mean, you talk about the pressure before. A game-high 32 pressure acts. It's kind of what we need in the midfield, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like, some of the old fellas just don't put their hand up for the pressure acts, as we know. So,
yeah. And now you've got a guy that we categorise as a forward, traditionally, and he is absolutely a weapon there. But look at what we've been trying to do with all our other midfielders. You know, we're trying to play them off half forward and see what they can do there. I would say that Jager's probably the one that gets it the best. He has the ability there. But with Dylan Moore, it looks like, okay, we've got the forward game locked down. Now we're trying him in the midfield, and hello,
goal-scoring midfield.
Yes, that's it. He might be the one who nails that duality, the best out of the lot of them. So very exciting indeed. Finished with 25 disposals, including 12 contested possessions. The stat sheet also reached 5 inside 50s, 6 tackles, 7 clearances, and a goal. Just a complete game, and definitely deserve that honour of the Paul Deere Memorial Medal, I think.
Now, I want to talk about something that's quite interesting.
Okay.
You don't often see your opponent get 23 touches at 91% disposal efficiency and have a really big impact on the game, like his top 6.
Okay, yeah.
And then he's criticised for how poorly he did against you.
I feel like I know where this is going.
Alex Witherden
Yep.
has 6 kicked on him by Bruce. 6 goals, 2. Could have been 7. Bruce wanted the 7. Just sensational.
I mean, talk about winding back the clock with a bag of 6, and as you say, 6-2 to be perfectly precise. But how about this? He also had 5 inside 50s.
Yeah. I mean, were they just
game.
running around sharing the football, were they?
I mean, his influence over this game is just supreme as such a damaging player, and the Eagles had really no answer, and deservedly the fans' MVP for this week.
Yeah, so me yelling out to Alex Witherden, learn to defend, I think should be underlined in the match notes.
Good one. You got him a beauty there. Well done.
Well, they're both attacking, and Bruce just made him pay every time.
Yeah, it was... I mean, we've seen it all from Luke Bruce at this point.
Well, he had a form turnaround last week.
Yeah,
and then
really
this
did.
week, he's just running on top of the ground.
I believe I might have said to friend of the show, Peter, at the end of the game, that you just, with a day like that, you just don't know when Luke might hang up the boots. I don't know when that day's going to come.
It's called class, mate. It's called class.
It always bubbles to the surface, doesn't it? He did beautifully, Luke Bruce. Another guy did very well. We talk about recreating the form from the previous game. Finn McGuinness. He's on a hot streak. Another week, another tag for Finn McGuinness. And we expected he might get Tim Kelly, and that's exactly what happened. I'm going to give this one to McGuinness.
Absolutely, because the midfield of the West Coast Eagles is reliant on Kelly, especially when Shuey can't perform. And Shuey was out for a little while. I think he missed part of the match. And they fell to pieces during that.
The thing that separates them as well, I mean, you make a good point. Finn has completely nullified their most important weapon, which is excellent for a young player. But a game-high 12 score involvements for Finn. So not only is he putting the hard tag on, he's got triple the amount of score involvements than Kelly.
Yeah. It's like you're playing chess and the pawn comes up and takes out your knight.
Yeah, that's it.
It's basically how you have to view it. If Finn can keep doing stuff like that.
If Finn can get to the end of the board and become a queen, I will say, yes, queen.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Doesn't suit me, does it? I should avoid that in the future.
What was interesting about this week, though, that strategically we weren't very good and we had to tactically work our way back into the game. I thought at the beginning of the game we didn't look anywhere near the form of the previous week.
Yeah, that's true enough. Although I thought once we got going, there were certain passages of play that were very trademark 2022 Hawthorn. The one that springs to mind. I can't remember who centred it to the middle of the ground, but Josh Morris clunking it Stewie Dew style.
Yeah.
A very strong contested mark. And
I don't think you should remember who kicked that to the middle. That was a very dicey kick.
But it's in line with what we're trying to do. When it's on and when it's not is the next step in the development for these players with this game plan. Because it's not always on.
Yeah.
Even West Coast, but as terrible as they are, they knew they could shut it down, and occasionally they did, and we tried it anyway. It's bound to happen.
Let's talk about that piece of play, though.
Okay.
Because Josh Morris takes a very good mark, holds his position well. I thought he had a good game on Liam Ryan.
Yeah.
Who's elite. Liam
Well,
Ryan. When
yes.
he's up and running, he's out of form, but whatever.
Yeah.
He looked dangerous, kept ducking, that kind of stuff.
He did, actually. He was looking for that free kick. We know now the AFL's outlawed that, but anyway.
But Morris was on him the whole day, and I thought did a very, very good job. And
I know you want to chat about Conor McDonnell as well.
yeah, so he's running back with the flight of the ball
Yeah.
and takes it one hand.
Just when I thought he was going to be crunched.
Basically took it under the arm. He came over his left shoulder, he catches it in the right mitt, continues on his merry way, has a glance and a smirk,
He loves a goal.
and then slots it. Simply the best. I loved it. That's goal of the year for me.
Wow, big call.
It's goal of the
beauty,
year
though.
for me because it got me excited, got me up and about.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, there's a couple of times he's done that.
Oh,
And then later on in the game when he's looking to seal it, you know.
Yeah.
I love this because Dermy just can't hold it in when he's on the commentary. Remember when Warple kicked that goal to seal it against Essendon?
Yeah.
Very similar noise comes out of his mouth.
Okay.
Just a squeal of delight
Yeah.
when McDonald just puts his foot through it in the square.
Just a fan forever, basically.
It's great.
G'day, Hawkers. Just wanted to jump in and say that we did, in fact, lose a few seconds worth of audio at around this point in the recording. So, just to give a bit of context for the next little bit of the episode, I'm basically referring to a photo that I saw after the game. Alright, let's get back to it. And I'm not exactly sure at what time it was taken, but it's definitely a point where Hawthorn's coming up the race. It might be the start of the game, it might be half-time. And all the players really have their game face on, especially Tom Mitchell out the front leading the guys. He's, really concentrating, locked in. And there's Conor McDonnell, who's just got the biggest shit-eating smirk. It's like, you know how good you are. You know how good you can be.
We're getting some real bravado. You've got Sicily, McDonald's brought it. We've known Josh Morris has had it for a long time.
Yes, yeah.
What's that app he was on about a month after he was drafted?
A cameo type
Yeah, cameo.
one. Yeah.
Where you can hire him for a birthday message.
Yeah.
99% of even Hawthorn fans probably didn't know who he was.
At that time, yes. I mean, I wouldn't turn my nose up at it. I'd enjoy it.
No, but he's just been...
I get your point.
He's just signed a contract and he's straight on cameo. But it's like criticism, hopefully, for those fellas is like water off a duck's back. You need that kind of... bit like Sammy. He doesn't get his head turned quickly.
No way. And they've all got a certain style of swagger about them, don't they?
Well,
and that's what I like.
Nukes has it too.
Well, let's talk about Newcomb. He was in my honourable mentions because I thought it was fantastic. He just is a machine. He gives us so much drive and just has so much grunt about him, especially on a day such as that where Melbourne was throwing up all sorts of conditions. It didn't know what it wanted to be. At some points, I'm like, I'm back at the G. It's 2015 September, hottest grand final on record. That's the sunshine that was being put up.
And you're trying to dry your clothes.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, exactly. So I thought Newcomb was just a man for all weather.
Yeah, Scrimmer was good.
Great goal.
If that isn't ghosting, what is? Because nobody reacted to the fact that Scrimshaw had the ball.
Well, his opponent ended up giving up because I think he expected that Scrimshaw would just line up for the goal. So he just slowed to a small, half-hearted jog, and the Scrimmer's like, no, I'm going to keep on running, mate. I've run this far. I've taken you all the way up the field. I'm probably going to run a bit further and slot it.
I haven't seen anyone slow down that much having a shot for goal since Hodgie.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you remember how slow he'd get?
Yeah.
But that's because everyone else had given up.
Well, it makes me think of the time it was in Adelaide.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, virtually to win the game.
Yeah.
And he sells the candy, doesn't he? And everything stops around him. He just very coolly and calmly puts it through.
And then gets slammed by the second tackler.
Yeah, that's right. Had to wear that at least. Let's talk about some other players. DGB. This is a guy that you asked me about after the game.
At the ground, I was hypercritical of him.
Yep.
And
you since cooled on that, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, how
He
so?
wasn't anywhere near as bad as I thought he was.
Because you watched the replay as well afterwards.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
So talk me through your thought process. What did you initially think, and how were you swung around?
Well, I thought early on he was out of position and didn't have much impact on a lot of contests, but he really worked hard to get back into it. I forget how good Kennedy and who's the bloke that dropped the ball in the grand final? Darling.
Darling.
Yeah. I forget how good they actually are.
Yeah.
As a twin pairing.
Yeah, I think I just read today that Kennedy's hanging up the boots at the end of the year, but, he could probably go again. He's still got it.
Well, it's no good to keep playing him, is it?
Well, no, it's not. It's not in the Eagles' best interest, but he has the ability.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're still very good, and, DGB, had his work cut out for him at some points. Sometimes a bit nervy, sometimes a bit over-aggressive as well.
But he looks streets ahead.
Oh, Blank's safe as houses. I mean, people will rave about Newcomb being, the mid-season draft steal. The guy that's flying under the radar is James Blank, and his importance to this lineup. And effectively, I'm sure Kyle Hartigan doesn't appreciate it. It stamped his papers. The future is now. Blank is in this lineup. He's keeping Hartigan out.
You mentioned the weather, and that, of course, kept Cozzy out, right? And your mate had a real tough day at the office.
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, it was bound to happen sooner or later. He probably needed a bit more support. Things didn't go his way, really.
3 in front of him every time he went for a contest.
Not ideal. But then, can you really complain when Bruce bobs up with 6? I don't know. Really care?
Lewis copped a big knock from Shannon Hearn.
I'm going to call it now, because we're recording this when the teams aren't out. This is a Tuesday evening. I reckon Lewis gets a rest this week.
What, against North?
Yeah. He might have, air quotes, soreness.
Right.
And it might be somewhat legit. I don't know. That's my forecast. That's what I predict.
I mean, we've got a new full forward anyway, so...
Go on.
Will Day.
What a forward setup we had at times. I think, let's go through it. Jarman Impey, who's obviously been played as a defender for the past...
Did he get a touch?
Well, he got a goal.
Okay. He got
a very important goal.
He did, actually, yeah. But he was irrelevant for large periods.
I'd agree with that. Yeah. Jarman Impey, Finn McGuinness was played as a forward again, and Will Day. And so sometimes you look at the forward setup and you're like, what are you doing, Sammy? I don't hate it, but I'm mystified by it.
So it was Gunston's role, right?
I would assume so, yes.
And he's a quick study because,
a couple of goals on the board. He doubled his career goals, Tiz.
Well, McAvoy said to Sammy, how do I teach him to be a forward in, less than a week or two?
That's right, yeah, he did say that.
And Will was in the right spot more times than not.
That's right. In fact, wasn't it McAvoy that fed him a goal?
Yeah.
Yes, there you go.
Didn't you love McAvoy's goal, though?
Oh, fantastic.
Where his opponent didn't look at the ball and the ball pitched and his opponent turns around to look at where it pitched and McAvoy's putting it through.
And just a feel-good story, isn't it? Like, he deserves that for all he's come back from. And there were times...
He's so important in some of the leading chains to goal.
There were times in this game where I had to remind myself, like, this is a guy that had a neck fracture. It was a very serious injury. It could have ended his career. And he goes in and plays like it's nothing, like it never happened. This marked win number 6 for Mitchell as well, in his first year of coaching, obviously, where Clarko only managed 5.
Right.
Interesting.
So if 5 in your first year becomes 4 premierships, what does 6?
Yeah, well, that's just science, Hawks fans. Like this one from Jack at Hawk Talk Pod. Who had the better list when they took over, Mitchell or Clarkson?
Oh, Mitchell, definitely.
Well, I suppose that's true, isn't it? Because Clarkson, he then gets the draft, doesn't he?
I mean, yes, but Clarkson also put up the for sale sign. Just said we're going to gut the list and rebuild from here. Both of them has had a Brownlow medalist on the list.
That's true, yeah. We heard from Dino at Hawk Talk Pod. Who do we want to see in the final 5 games and why is it more Finn matchups?
So who have we got left, Nick? We've got North this week, Saints, who are done.
Well, hopefully we'll see to that.
Suns that are medium rare to nearly well done. Who's after that?
The Tigers, I think.
And then the Dogs.
Yeah, and I reckon that's the season.
Well,
you're sniffing a few wins, mate.
Yeah.
You're licking your chops.
No.
You don't want to be.
Well, I'm just... I think there's a question later about what's the point in winning.
Paraphrased, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, well, those boys on the weekend, they definitely wanted to win, didn't they? I mean, West Coast wanted to win too. They came as hard as they could with the talent they had on the park.
The only team in the AFL at the moment that doesn't want to win is the team we've got this week.
Yes, isn't that a weird conundrum? Because at the moment, right now, they're in AFL House telling everybody how bad they are.
Well, what I think is amusing about this is obviously North Melbourne had a stirring win over Richmond over the weekend.
Oh, yes, when the other mob can't hit the back of a barn with a banjo.
I was there, mate. I had free tickets and went to the Medallion Club, and I saw the first half before I had to piss off.
You know you're going to get a letter to say, could you attend each week?
That's right. It was their lucky charm. Because they played like the bloody Globetrotters. And
Was
Richmond,
it 8 straight?
Oh, it was ridiculous. And, Richmond missed something like 9 shots from inside 30 metres.
Wow.
Absolutely insane. That'll
great
never
to
happen
see.
again. So
Richmondy is back.
That's right. That was the bonus. But, North have beaten a severely undermanned Eagles side that had ring-ins. And now they've... Well, they did, didn't they? About 12 players.
Yep.
And Richmond's...
Only just, mind you.
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah. That's my point. And Richmond just could not kick a goal for the life of them and made some very odd decisions when the game was on the line.
Zerha, currently unsigned, kick 6, wins them the game.
Yeah.
That's going to be top of the list?
Anyway, my point in saying all this is after such a stirring win, President Sonia Hood came out and tweeted, "Our list, not bad."
Well, I mean, there's many other words that mean bad. Could be pathetic. Could be... No, look.
I mean, she changed her tune when Tuesday rolled around.
Poor David Noble, though. They obviously haven't been putting in any effort at all.
I did have a feeling we were going to talk about North at length like this, just because I disliked them so intensely.
We've got them this week. We've got to talk about them, unfortunately.
We do, but the question from Dino was about Finn. I imagine Finn McGuinness gets, LDU this week as a matchup, or... Who else wins the ball for them? I watched them and I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, LDU's putting together a nice season.
So imagine that's the matchup there. It'd be interesting to see. I want this experiment to continue. I want this tagging thing to be part of Finn McGuinness's arsenal, for sure. I keep on seeing him forward. I'm always a bit dicey about that, but everything else he's doing is great.
Anyone else you want to see? Would you like to see Jai Sarong? I would.
Well, Jai Sarong was actually named in the squad this week.
Came an emergency.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, sure, I'd like to see him. Whether we do or not, I'm not necessarily convinced just yet.
Well, I mean, if you're dropping Mitch Lewis, mate.
Okay.
You're bringing Cozzy
All right. This question from Matt. Do you park Will Day forward now for the rest of the year? He finished nicely a couple of times, but didn't find much of the ball. Could this further erode his dwindling confidence? Now,
I don't think confidence is an issue for Will.
Well, not right now. Certainly we have discussed in the past that it might be, but you see him slot a goal or two and, gee, he celebrates.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a guy who's down on confidence when he celebrates like that.
It's a bit of a go-to move. It's becoming a thing that Sammy likes to do. Blokes that are down on form or struggling in the back line, send them forward, give them a couple of goals, get their chins up.
Worked with Impey. He's done it with Day.
Frost.
Yeah, Frost. Yes. Wow. There's 3.
Yeah.
Not a coincidence anymore, is it, listeners?
No. And Hardigan went forward in the VFL. Like, I'm starting to...
But he did kick a very important goal.
He did.
But that one's not on Mitchell. That's Proctor.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's still Hawthorn. It still counts. It's going to be interesting because Gunston is said to be available this week, or they hope he is. Mm-hmm. Whether he is or not, I mean, you can't put a timeline on these things.
No.
I feel like if Jack Gunston wasn't in the inclusions this week, no one's going to cry foul. I think everyone's going to be like, oh yeah, well, fair enough. We know what that's about. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Maybe Day gets another shot forward. It really depends probably on what Gunston's doing. We had this question from Rocky and Ralph. Why are we potentially going for Amon? Cheers.
Because he's free and elite.
Correct. Pridgy, so much to be excited about.
He's not exactly free, but he's free to bring to the club.
Well, yeah.
And then he takes up some of your salary cap.
Yeah, he's got a hefty price tag, but it looks like we're in the box seat to get him. Mm-hmm. Carlton pulled out. They're not interested anymore, so that helps us.
Thank goodness. Can you imagine their wingman? Wow.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah. They'd look pretty good. But, why not Amon? I'd have him in the club for sure. A real weapon of a wingman is Carl Amon. This question from Pridgy. So much to be excited about. Ward, Blank, Moore. Do we have any more debutants this year, given the youth already on show at the moment? Again,
getting a bit greedy, Pridgy. Getting a bit greedy. This is some year for youth on our list. We haven't seen this kind of development and flowering of youth for many years.
But this is what it had to be. I think this is living up to, dare I say, most fans' hopes and expectations for season 2022. Because if you're not doing this, then what kind of a rebuild is it?
Certainly. Hopes.
Yeah. So you reckon Jice are wrong?
Oh, I just think he might be given a taster.
Yeah, perhaps.
They often do that. They often get near the end of the year and they go, you know what? You've toiled really hard. We're going to give you a taste so you know what it's about.
15 touches in the VFL this past weekend and performed pretty well. We should get to that, actually, because what a finish. Box Hill Hawks, 12-15-87, defeated Werribee Tigers, 11-14-80.
Yeah, that doesn't really capture it, does it?
No, it really doesn't, that scoreline. Because you could say, oh, yeah, seems like it was a bit close.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, was it. That was another genuine Box Hill heist. They pinched the win with 3-3 in the final 10 minutes of the game.
How would you describe it? He basically launches both feet into the air on the turn. Ben Kavara.
Yeah, that's right, yes.
Beautiful boomerang goal across his shoulder. And the demoralising of the opposition was
you noticed
palpable.
That too? The body language when that one sailed through was like, Jesus Christ, you are kidding me.
Yeah, it was more, you are kidding me. I cannot believe that went through.
Yeah, and the commentary, I think they called it a Smithy snag. I'm like, you've said that about 5 times this call. This is the one. That's a Smithy snag. It makes all the other ones irrelevant. Anyway, Ben Kavara with a real clutch goal, but the guy to really finish it off was a guy who did a bit of a Luke Bruce before Luke Bruce did it. Fergus Green with 6 goals of his own, 11 touches and 5 marks, and put the game to bed with a goal from about a metre out.
Now, someone's knocking on the door. Yes. Tommy Phillips.
That's right, yeah. In the battle of Tom versus Tom this game, it was Phillips with the edge. He put a wonderful blanket job on Werribee's Tom Gribble, who's actually a former JJ Liston Trophy winner. A game-high 29 touches, 12 marks, 6 tackles, 7 clearances, and I'm not used to Tom Phillips being this dominant.
No,
it's unusual.
He was clearly dominant. And Gribble's no slouch.
No, not at all.
Liam Shields ably assisted Tom, of course.
As you'd expect. I mean, he's a consummate professional and great again for Box Hill. 27 touches, 6 marks, 6 tackles and 2 goals. One of which you could say probably started turning the tide when it mattered most in that final quarter. And that was a pressure act as Werribee was attempting to exit defensive 50. And they made a mess of it, and Liam Shields instantly made him pay.
Yep.
It was as fine a solo effort as you can get that resulted in a goal and really started turning things around. I really liked Max Lynch's game as well.
Why is that?
Well, he's the dominant ruckman, for one, but I felt that he was able to float back and, we've banged on about the McAvoy experiment in years gone by, but there was a bit of that about it, and it worked
he's a
quite
bit more
well.
agile.
That's true, yeah.
But you'd have to say that our defence was not good on the day, which is why they found themselves behind.
Yes, yeah, no, that's fair enough. There was one shining light, though. Emerson Jecker, key defender. It's starting to have a nice ring to it.
No, I hate it.
You hate it?
Yeah, why are we taking one of the best forward talents and putting him in defence? Is it for needs down there, or...?
Well, I think they like what he's doing with it. 22 disposals, 6 marks. He's a beautiful distributor.
It's the kicking off the halfback
line. It really is,
So I, fallaciously tweeted, is it Sicily 2.0 back there?
I think the guy that probably needs to be worried long-term if this continues is DGB.
Do you?
Yeah. If DGB doesn't get his skates on and starts progressing...
Nah, you just send Sicily forward, mate.
Of course. Yeah. Silly me. Yeah. Should have known.
You still got that badge? Send Sicily forward. No. Jecker obviously stays on the list with this kind of stuff. People know what he can do. We've known his field kicking's been very, very good for a long time. He's had wayward days in front of goal, but his work rate's there. I'm wondering what they want to see from him to get him into the AFL level. And it looks like the fact that you haven't mentioned Callow, that he wasn't a presence.
Callow had a bit of a weird day. I think he was involved, but nothing quite came off for him. Okay. Goal kicking was a bit wayward. I worry about Callow at this point of the season. I think they've got, 5 games left of the VFL, and probably needs to start showing something to get a contract, I would say.
So did that end a run of 4 losses?
It would have been 4 straight.
It
Yeah,
would have been. So that's
yeah.
3 losses in a row and back on the winners list.
Back on the winners list. Very timely indeed as well. We are now back knocking on the door of the top 8 and have a real opportunity this week as well, coming up against the Northern Bull Ants, who have only just won 1 game for the year. So they are bottom of the ladder. They look a bit hopeless. Teams have had the ascendancy on them every week for a few weeks now. We play them at Preston City Oval this Sunday at 12 p.m. So, good one. I might actually get down to that if I have time. But it's a real opportunity for Box Hill to go back-to-back and have a real strong back into the season and make finals.
So back to North. You want to talk about North again and your fevered dreams about losing to them?
I am a little bit worried, I'm not going to lie. But I suppose I'm glad that they won last week because that gets that out of the way. Now we're back to regularly scheduled programming.
Yeah.
That's my hope.
So they're not going to rotate another coach in?
They can't pull that trick every week.
It is North.
Oh, yeah, don't rule it out. Week's a long time in footy, mate.
So we're going down to Hobart, where the weather is even probably going to be worse.
Yep, every chance, yep.
I mean, it was 1 degree here this morning. How cold must it be in Tassie?
We've talked about the AFL side, talked about Box Hill. I'm a bit at a loss for what changes to make, which is not to say we're world beaters and we can't make changes, but I don't really know what levers I'd pull for this week.
Well, I don't mind. It doesn't worry me.
Yep.
I think we've got it over North if we want to win.
Yeah, I'd say that's true. I wonder if Gunston comes back in, as I said, but not relying on that, I don't know. I don't know if I'd make any changes, which is a weird spot to be in for a development year. But I'm happy seeing what I'm seeing at the moment. I want more of it, that's all.
Yeah, no, it's been an interesting couple of weeks. 2 wins on the board. Can you make it 3? North are begging for the priority picks, so they might be looking to, underline their argument and lose by 60.
I mean, it doesn't benefit them in any way to win, really.
Well, I mean, if you're the coach, it does. You don't want a loss on your record.
It doesn't matter.
There's definitely players at that club playing for their career.
Actually, yeah, that's true. Didn't factor that in. We had this question from James. Should the club look to put Reeves in for surgery in the next couple of weeks so he can get back to pre-season on time? Would also give Lynch the last 2 or 3 games to show us what we've got with him.
Yeah, I'm happy for all these list management decisions to happen.
Yeah.
To prime us for next year and our challenge for the flag, obviously. Is that
in 2023? Come on, I don't know if you're being facetious now about James's question. Would you send Reeves in for surgery?
If he was having problems, I might think about it, but I don't think that he gets pushed out of the lineup at the moment.
No, I want the duo of Reeves and McAvoy to continue to gel. And listening to Reeves post-game as well, he's delighted that McAvoy's back.
Yeah,
Don't take this away from him.
I think the instruction from McAvoy is great for him. I know we were underwhelmed with our ruck work on the weekend, but...
Well, is it purely on them or is it on our mids as well?
No.
It's on the rucks?
Yeah.
Okay, well, even greater argument to leave them to work together.
Like, I mean, if you're dominating that much, you should be able to work it to your...
That's true. Yeah. If you're getting that many hit outs, it has to come off better than it did, certainly. Dr. K. Mansell writes, the club has apparently said it's not looking to play much of a part in the trade period and will focus more on the draft. Tanner Braun, by reports, is looking to move back to Victoria. Surely he's worth consideration, isn't he? What would he be worth in a trade scenario? Is this a player that's caught your eye?
So Tanner Braun, 20-year-old at GWS, access to requirements.
Couldn't help but look up his stats because I'm not overly familiar with his body of work. And debut season, he was averaging 7 touches. I think this year he's had something like 13 games. He's averaging, I think, 12 disposals, I read. So, I don't know. I've got to say, Dr. K. Mansell, I've got to look at this kid a little more closely before I make that call. But on stats alone, I'm not wowed. I'm not desperate to have him at Hawthorn.
Well, it's just part of the youth policy, Nick. If you manage to move off one of the older blokes in the midfield, and I don't mean just retirement, you might be looking at a bloke like this, but you wouldn't want to pay a lot because
no,
you can pick kids up who are similarly gifted.
Yep.
In the draft.
Well, that's what I'm banking on as well. So I don't know whether we'd be interested in him. I mean, you don't rule anything out till you keep keep it open. Shana asks, Sam Hayes, Port Adelaide ruckman to Hawthorn.
Do we need another ruck? Yes, we do.
No.
Yeah, we do.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Well, it makes it 5 on the list, doesn't it?
Is there 5, is there?
Well, that's not... Well, okay, let's go through it. McAvoy, Reeves, Lynch,
Yeah.
Ramsden...
And
then we'd have Hayes as well.
yeah, well, it would be 5, but I mean, McAvoy's falling off the list fairly soon.
That's true.
We've been caught out before with not developing rucks on our list.
I mean, you say that, but that was pretty unlucky this year. Is that going to happen again?
It wasn't unlucky. We called it at the start of the year. We called it at the start of the previous year that we probably wouldn't have a ruck at times because...
I didn't think it would... Oh, that might be the case, but I didn't think it would end up that badly, that quickly.
Well, that's what happens.
Yeah.
That's what happens. If something can go wrong, usually bloody does.
Brilliant. Sam Hayes to Hawthorn. Doesn't sound so bad now, does it? Obsessive compulsive. Should Newcomb keep the number 44?
Absolutely.
Yes. 100% on board
Love
with
it.
that. Hyde asks, who is the next full-time captain of Hawthorn and when does the change happen? And also looking to the future, who has the most obvious leadership qualities for players 22 years old and
22
under?
and under.
Well,
Ooh.
Ward came in with that in his resume, didn't he?
Yeah. Have you noticed it? They're still very young, so it's hard to tell.
It's really hard to tell.
No, Ward would have to be the front runner there.
I'd say so. Who's the next full-time captain? Sicily?
You'd say so.
I'd say Sicily. Pretty safe with that choice. This question from Patrick, and now this is going to really expand into a deeper conversation, I feel.
I don't think it will, actually.
You reckon it'll be quick?
Yeah.
Quick and painless?
What did John Howard say? If you want something to go away, don't give it oxygen. Well, I believe that to be the case for Caro.
Right, well, Patrick wonders about our thoughts on Caroline Wilson's comments regarding Hawthorn and Tassie. And this is a quote. Hawthorn, this is from Caro, Hawthorn say they've kept footy alive in Tasmania. They've done so much for the code in Tasmania. Why are there no players coming out of Tasmania anymore? Hawthorn haven't done a good job. They've just made a lot of money out of Tasmania. Yes, there are a lot of people in Launceston who love the Hawthorn Football Club, and they've certainly delivered in terms of performances down there, but you couldn't say that they've been good for the code. In fact, you could say that they've sort of raped and pillaged the code, really. It's just been so disappointing.
Hawthorn Vikings.
The Hawthorn Vikings.
Now,
A little bit extreme.
totally.
A little bit harsh from Caro, I would say.
And without facts. Interest in AFL and the recruitment of children into AFL, that actually sits with AFL House to provide funding, and we know how negligent they've been in Victoria, so you can only surmise what lack of funding AFL has received down in Tassie. This is she's just throwing haymakers and hoping some of it'll, one of them will land.
It certainly seems like it,
It seems it's just bile, because Hawthorn have been a touchstone for AFL fans down there. There hasn't been anything representing value for money in Tassie in terms of attending AFL games, apart from Hawthorn and whoever they brought down. They have put on incredible shows. You can't tell me North have done anything like that in Hobart. Buddy kicks 13 in Tassie, Caro.
Against North.
Against North. I suppose they have to be on the double bill there, have to give them some credit.
I didn't like this at all, clearly. They've just made a lot of money out of Tasmania. That's so cynical and so harsh.
Well, we did.
I know.
But the reason we made money, guess why? It was value for money.
But this is... Caro's coming from the point of, the club's in it for themselves and stuff everyone. That's not fair at all.
You cannot tell me that the Tasmanian populace will be able to mount a case without Hawthorn being down there for the last 20 years.
Oh, absolutely. They're integral. It has to be part of the conversation because it's integral to the fabric of what footy is down there.
If we've learnt anything from the 2022 crowd numbers, it's the fact that if you fall out of the habit of going to the footy, it doesn't come back easy.
That's right.
Okay? We've had to generate the habit of going to the footy in Tasmania with little to no assistance from the AFL. In fact, they have tried to get us out of Tasmania most of that period.
I had a question. This isn't on the rundown because I honestly don't know the answer. I want to throw it to you. There's no pressure whatsoever. Any updates with Dingley? There was a letter from Jeff last night that apparently got emailed out. I haven't received it yet, which annoys me because I'm a member.
Oh, I read it.
Yeah,
I don't remember much of it.
So clearly didn't say anything of note or anything about Dingley.
No, I didn't. I'd have to do a word search for Dingley.
Fair enough. Control F. Dingley. All right. Well, one of our listeners wanted to know. I thought maybe you'd know something. But, yeah, it might be interesting to get a bit of an update from the club on that sooner or later.
Look, it'll happen.
Well, I don't doubt that. But is it going to happen soon and within budget?
Oh, within budget, no.
Forget about that.
Have you seen a project in Victoria delivered on budget in the last 10 years?
That's a point well made. If you're listening to our show via Apple Podcasts, you may have a minute to rate and review our show and would really appreciate that. Of course, it does make our day to read that stuff, but it effectively recommends the show to other diehard Hawkers too, which is great because we are building a wonderful community of Hawthorn fans with the podcast, and that can be seen over on Twitter, twitter.com/HawkTalkPod, and Facebook as well, facebook.com/HawkTalkPod. Get on board. We'd love to have you there. And you can find us on Instagram too. And lastly, as always, a shout out to our proud, passionate and paid up Patreon subscribers who make it possible for us to put time into this podcast every week. Your support is very much appreciated. And if you're listening to this and want to sling us a bit of coin, you can get some bonus content in the process too. Hop on to patreon.com/HawkTalkPod.
So, what do you think of our mole inside the, get a team in Tassie movement? Alistair Clarkson. Is he just going to stymie it from within? It's just because this is basically where Caro's going next on her gallivanting, and
Isn't she pro Tassie team?
Oh yes, she is. But when it fails, it'll be because Clarko.
It'll be because of Alistair Clarkson. All right. Okay.
Yeah, he white-outed it from within. Never wanted it.
Secret agent Alistair Clarkson.
Yeah, Hawthorn have been successful in their bid to stymie. Kennett won't be around by the time they announce that it hasn't happened. Be part of the Kennett legacy. No Tassie team.
Well, I'll be happy to quote you if it does come to pass.
Mate.
We could be watching Footy Classified next year.
Now, they've never have the other clubs ever voted against having a new team.
Mm.
Every other time they've voted yes.
Right.
So I would suggest that's what happens, actually.
Okay.
But in terms of Hawthorn just getting up and leaving, I don't think that's going to happen either. I think they'd still have 4 games down there, don't you?
Well, I don't see it coming to an end anytime soon. But we'll see. Speaking of other clubs, though, we've poached a high-performance manager.
Peter Burge,
the brown and gold. He'll be our new high-performance manager for the 2023 season. He was actually previously at the Hawks as a strength and conditioning coach from 2005 to 2011, tis.
So 4 premierships on the CV then?
Yeah, that's right. Most recently, he was a key contributor in Richmond's 3 most recent premierships. So probably a good guy to have in the context of modern-day football. Rob McCartney had this to say: Peter has a proven track record of elite high performance, and we are thrilled to welcome him to the club. Given the profile of a young and developing list, we see Peter as the perfect fit to create and implement a high-performance plan to take the group to the next level.
So Luke Boyd sees out the rest of the year, and that's it.
Yep, Luke Boyd finishing up at the end of the season, and pretty good CV, pretty good legacy with the club. I mean, he was around for the three-peat.
Yeah, he was underling to Jack Russell, so took over after him, and apart from a few worrying injuries on the track and in training and things like that, we've seen very good fitness development in the young blokes. Mm-hmm. And your mate, Mitch Lewis, putting on kegs over the off-season, just sitting at home, munching away all day and then hitting the gym, wasn't it? He got sick of eating, didn't he say?
Something like that. I think it's an experience that might be shared by Will Day and Jai Sarong next year. So just tipping that's the case. Anyway, there's your feel-good story for this very end of the Hawk Talk podcast for this week.
So, mate, in a game that could blow either way, and I mean that because the wind down there can be shocking.
Oh, and don't you worry, it will blow.
Are you confident?
Sort of.
Well, you went and watched how good they can be.
Yeah, but I just can't see that happening again.
Yeah.
I reckon they might have a bit of fight about them. They might have a bit of wind in their sails, and not just because it blows a gale down there, tis. Mm-hmm. But I just can't see them pulling another win out of the hat, especially with everything in the broader context of their footy club going on. They don't want to win this.
Do you think we'll see more? Did you notice on Sunday that there was a whole lot of one-on-ones all over the ground with the game and the balance?
Yeah.
Do you think both coaches will just go with that because they want to know what their list can do, one-on-one?
Probably.
Yep.
Yep.
Should be good. Which means you don't get that congested stuff, do you? You just...
That's right, yeah. This is what I'm hoping. I wanted Crows, Eagles, North. I wanted those 3 wins, and then whatever happens afterwards. So I don't mind.
So you want 3 in a row and then all the rest losses?
Well, I don't want the rest to be losses. I'm saying that I would live with it. I think just bank these 3 wins.
Yeah, you're just like, as long as we beat North, it's good. That was it, wasn't it?
I mean, I am me, after all.
Yeah.
Long-time listeners of the podcast know exactly where I'm coming from.
Wouldn't it be great in the final round, though, to give the Dogs a real scare? Because they'll be shooting for 8.
Yeah, well, and Richmond as well. In fact, we've got a few teams.
Aren't Richmond done? Can't we just declare them done? And
They're in the 8. They're clinging on to 8th.
Yeah, but their form is shocking.
Yeah, I know, but this is it. We have a real opportunity. I know some Hawk supporters don't want us to keep on winning, but we have a real opportunity to ruin some seasons. So, that could be fun.
Aren't we? Isn't it? We can win 2 more games before we climb another place on the ladder anyway, so...
Are you worried about that?
Don't worry too much. Well, surely they win a game as well.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the one above us, so...
Anyway. We owe Richmond for last year, ruining that big occasion. I know it was an occasion for them too, but I want to spoil the party. I want to knock them out of the 8. But for this week, it's Hawthorn versus North Melbourne at Hobart. Of course, the Hawk Talk podcast will be back next week to recap all the action. We are a happy team at Hawthorn.